Oh, my lord, you wouldn't believe it.
Oh, yes, I would. I would suck his dick. So what are you ladies discussing?
Books?
Welcome to the Nerd Blitz Book Club. Pull up a seat and pull down your pants. Listen to us read and go on rants.
Hey gang, thanks for joining us this week for the Nerd Blitz Book Club. I'm Doom.
And I'm Fitz.
And we're back with episode 3, chapters 5 and 6.
Of Dark Disciple.
Yeah.
By Christie Golden.
It would help if... Yeah, I was going to say it would help if I told them what the fuck we were reading. Oh, God. I've had a rough week. Leave me alone!
Hey, you know what I realized we didn't talk about last time was the timeline. Like, where does this fall in the overall Star Wars canon timeline? The new timeline.
Oh, we didn't talk about that?
No, I don't think so. I think we talked about the episode names that these came from, the Clone Wars episode names.
Yeah.
But
Whoops!
yeah, but where this falls in the book timeline, I guess. Or actually the whole timeline.
Well, tell them where it falls.
Well, I have to open my book up.
Oh, well. Wait, you've got to open your what up?
My book.
Oh, book.
Yeah, we deal in paper books here with printing and words on it. None of this electronic bullshit.
Yeah, because I was going to say, wait, when did you go digital?
No. So
I almost lost respect for you.
I'll give you plenty of reasons for that. Books ain't one of them. So the time.
Well, I mean,
go ahead.
That's important shit.
Yeah. So the timeline, the new timeline as it stands, is Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, Episode 2, Attack of the Clones, then the Clone Wars TV series, and then this book, Dark Disciple, followed by Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith.
Which, that right there is a good chunk of awesome shit.
Yeah.
After Episode 2.
Oh, yeah,
Gotta make that clear.
Yeah, so this book takes place before... takes place in between Episode 2 and Episode 3 of the films.
And we'll find out later in the coming weeks if it actually does anything to help lead up to Episode 3, because that... I mean, I know that, it got canceled before its time, but that's one of the things that will always bug me.
Yeah.
Is that Disney didn't let the show come to its natural end and actually bridge the gap between Episode 2
and
and Episode 3.
That was always the talk, was that the show would go right up to... Actually, there were some people who speculated that it's possible, had it kept going, that it would have gone right up to Episode 3 and then jumped past Episode 3 to just after the end of Episode 3.
Well, see, what I've heard is that it was supposed to lead up to Episode 3 and not jump, but just keep going through Episode 3, and it was going to go for just a little bit after it.
Oh.
Because actually the Clone War, it started in Episode 2, and we basically see the end in Episode 3, but it doesn't end in Episode 3. We would have seen the actual end where, they go planet to planet, that type of shit.
And mop up, yeah.
And actually shut the war down and end it. But yeah, I think it was supposed to actually show the real, true end of the war, not just, okay, now this is what leads to the end of the war like we see in episode 3.
Right.
Because I've heard that a lot of season 7 was going to deal with that, and we were going to see Ahsoka in there kind of dealing with that shit too.
Right.
And it's like, oh, really?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So,
that would have been cool.
I think there's a lot of truth in that.
Yeah, I think so too. But instead we get a book, which I guess is okay.
Yeah, I'm not disappointed in having a book. I mean, I would much prefer to have the episodes, but
yeah. But
take what you can get.
Exactly.
I really hope we get more books. They've said that, like, Rebels, when it ends, they're going to continue the story of those characters in, like, direct-to-video movies or one-hour TV specials. I would love it if they would do that with Clone Wars. Books, TV specials, direct-to-video movies, I don't care. Just give it to me. I want to see how this story was supposed to end.
So anyway, where we left off last week, Quinlan Vos had arrived on the planet where Asajj Ventress was hunting a bounty, and she had just engaged the person she was hunting, and Quinlan Vos
almost captured him.
And almost got him, but then at the last second, the bounty was tackled and subdued by Quinlan Vos, and that's where we left off last week. Chapter 5 starts off with, as you would imagine, Asajj being pretty pissed off that somebody just came in and snaked her money.
Which, all through Chapter 5, it's hilarious, at least to me, that she doesn't know his name, so she just refers to him as the idiot. And I was like, that's fucking funny.
They basically fight over this prisoner for a whole chapter. Capture him and recapture him and chase him and hunt him and fight between the two of them to see who can get to him first.
Mm-hmm. And keep fucking screwing each other over trying to capture him and end up fucking each other out of anybody catching him.
Yeah, he eventually does get away at the end. Spoilers. But there's a pretty dramatic and involved chase through the streets of this city, through the skies and the streets.
And I think it's interesting that a lot of the roofs, they say on this planet, that a lot of the roofs have trees growing on them.
Right, like they have gardens and stuff, like parks, and like all their green space is on top of their buildings.
Which, that's an interesting fucking idea right there.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Because, I mean, haven't they been trying to do shit like that in New York, but they're not sure if the buildings can, or the roofs of the buildings can hold that shit up?
Yeah, I don't know that they're trying to do, like, this level of, like, trees and shit, but I know they're doing, like, gardens, and I don't know that they're doing, like, an actual park on top of a building, are they?
I mean, I could be talking out of my ass or making it up, I don't really know, but I could have swore I've heard something that because of the volume of people, they want to get more trees into the city, but it's kind of hard when it's a concrete jungle.
Yeah, well, yeah, it makes sense. You need that oxygen.
Yeah. And I mean, if you listen to the science on it, I think they say it's like every person uses 4.5 trees worth of oxygen. So that's a lot of fucking trees they would need.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Has nothing to do with Star Wars, but it's something I've picked up along the way and thought I'd share.
Now you're all fucking smarter. You're welcome.
It could be bullshit, but I swear I heard it on a Nova once. So yeah, they have it's pretty involved chase for a full fucking chapter.
Yeah, and probably this would have translated to about 5 minutes of screen time in a Clone Wars episode. I mean, the action is fast. Like, this whole chapter is mostly action. And it's mostly this chase.
The chapter's only, I think, 7 pages.
Yeah. And it really reminded me in spirit of the chase in episode 2 where Obi-Wan and Anakin are chasing what's her name?
Zam Wessel?
Zam Wessel, yeah. And they're jumping from speeder to speeder and all that shit, because that's the same stuff happens in this chase.
Yeah, there's a lot of shit so far in this book that reminds me of episode 2 and episode 3.
Mm-hmm.
Like the whole thing about, cutting Dooku's head off and the body will fall. That, that's a prophetic statement right there.
Mm-hmm.
And then, as you said, this chase, I mean, it feels a lot like episode 2, except it's not, thousands of miles or hundreds of miles or whatever the fuck in the air.
Yeah.
This seems like it's just a few feet above the ground, and if they fall off the speeders, you know, they're just going to tumble and get some owies, not get fucking dead. That's one of the things, talking about that chapter's only 7 pages, that's one of the things I wanted to call out about this book, and books in general. The chapters are so short and so quick, it makes it a fucking breeze to read through. You read one chapter, and it's like, oh shit, I want to read another. I can't wait to read another.
Yeah, and we kind of went light this week with 2 chapters.
Yeah.
And yet I still only read the last chapter last night.
Well,
I had a whole week to
see,
read like 14 pages, and I read them all in like one night.
Well, see, what I've been doing, just so, you know, I don't, you know, completely forget everything, is I've been pushing it to later in the week to read the chapters.
Yeah.
So that it's fresher in my mind.
Well, my plan was to read it earlier in the week and then later in the week read it again. But that didn't happen.
Well, see, I'm doing the shit like I haven't done in about 15 years, where I'm actually reading like 3 books right now, and I haven't done that in God knows how long.
Oh.
I'm reading this, I'm reading an X-Men book, and then I'm reading some horror anthology collection of short stories that are all zombie novels, or all zombie stories, which most of them suck. But yeah, that's what I've been doing.
Oh, to be young again and able to retain all of that. Keep it straight.
I'll be honest, I have kind of let the zombie one fall to the side again because, like I said, most of the stories in it are shit, but I can keep straight the X-Men and the Star Wars novels because they're so vastly different, although part of the X-Men one does take place in space, but still.
When you get into your 40s, it starts to be the equivalent of that is I start reading a book and I get bored or distracted and something new comes along and I stop reading that book and start reading another book. And then 6 months later, I'll go back to where I left off in that other book. And right now, I've done that for about 4 books in the last, 3 months.
Do you remember that scene? I think it was in Hellboy 2, where Abe Sapien's got like 6 books in front of him, and he's reading them all, and he's having people turn the pages. That used to be me when I was little. I would read like 5 or 6 books at a time, at the same time. And I would, like, read a chapter or 2 of this book a day, a chapter or 2 of that book a day, and then I'd be like, okay, fuck it, these 2 are boring, so I'm going to read these other 3 books.
Yeah, I think that's too much chaos for me.
Trust me, I had to cut that shit out quick, because I don't know if you remember that Disney movie Dinosaurs, I think it was, from, like, 15, 20 years ago. I think it was a Disney movie. Well, I was reading the junior novel of that, I was reading a junior novel of something else, and all of a sudden it's like, wait, why is Batman in this dinosaur movie? So I had to cut that shit out.
Yeah, that's too much chaos for the way my mind orders things.
Uh-huh.
I get obsessed with one thing, and it's got to be all in on one thing.
Yep. But back to Dark Disciple. As you can see, there's not a lot going on in these chapters. I mean, there is a lot going on, but there's not a lot to talk about yet.
There's not as much as, like, the last chapter where there was, like, some cool nuggets of information and cameo appearances of people. This is all pretty much straightforward. Asajj and Quinlan Voss chase bad guy and trade quips and flirt and try to annoy each other.
Yeah, I mean, for Chapter 5... I had 1 note, and I have been making like 2 or 3 notes per chapter. But Chapter 5, I have 1 note. Fun-loving Voss, annoying Ventress is a joy to read. Him saving her bow is a perfect way to try and get on her good side. Because at the end of the chase, in the middle of the chase, she loses her bow that her Night Sisters gave her. Mm-hmm. And to try and get on her good side, he picks it up and gives it back to her at the end.
Right, she thought she lost it. It pulled an Anakin's lightsaber where it just flew out of the speeder when they were chasing the guy.
Exactly.
And, another callback or another similarity to that is he picked it up. He caught it.
We call that homage.
I think the H is silent, though.
Don't you remember Cop Out?
I try not to,
I think
but
somebody
I do.
go get pregnant. What?
I said I try not to, but I remember it.
That was a good movie.
It wasn't bad. It wasn't bad. It wasn't as bad as it gets shit on for.
Yeah. But anyway, that was the only thing I'd written down. She lost her bow. thought it was gone. It was the last thing she had to remember her Night Sisters and Mother Talzin by.
Mm-hmm.
She thought she lost it. She was kind of depressed. At the end of the chapter, he gives it back to her. That's it for chapter 5. And it's like,
and then all of a sudden that door's open a crack.
Yeah. He's trying to get a crack at her crack, it sounds like.
I think he's going to get a crack at that crack.
We'll find out.
Yep.
But yeah, chapter 5, not much going on. On to chapter 6.
Yeah, so chapter 6 starts out with Voss is basically just stalking her through the city. Like, they split up at the end of chapter 5. They go their separate ways, or she leaves them behind.
Which he deliberately lets her go her separate way to let her cool off, because he knows if he goes after her right away, she'll be fucking pissed.
Right. She's right now, she's super pissed at him for making her miss out on this bounty and letting this guy get away. And his whole point the whole time, he's trying to convince her that, we should work together. We could get this guy. And her reaction is consistently like, I already had him and you fucked it up.
Yep.
Yeah, so he lets her cool off. He's trying to agitate her just enough without sending her over the edge to where she'll never work with him.
Mm-hmm.
He lets her cool off, so she goes for a walk, and he's basically just like stalking her, hiding behind bushes and trees and shit to keep her in view.
I don't remember it being that fucking creepy.
Dude, he did. he
Did he really?
Well, he hid behind, I think, a pole and a conveniently large pedestrian.
Yeah, I read he stepped behind a conveniently large pedestrian, not pedestrian. All of a sudden, I'm from New York. And he stepped into a doorway or something. I don't remember fucking hiding behind trees and getting into bushes and
Oh, just because she didn't mention it doesn't mean he didn't do it. I see like a manhole cover.
Of having twigs and
his head coming up through a manhole cover in the street, and like he's peeking out of a mailbox slot.
There's no mention of twigs and shit in his hair.
Yeah, he's wearing a ghillie suit and crawling through the grass.
He's got a fucking bird's nest on his head. She looks back, he goes, "Caw-caw!"
He does stop off for some sandwich.
A vegetable sandwich.
Yeah, fried vegetable Sammy. Like, what a hippie.
Right? That goes back to we were talking last time, or in one of the first 2 episodes, where in the comics and some of the stories and shit from his past, he was kind of a hippie, he was kind of a Native American dude, he was kind of a fucking cold-blooded, hard-ass killer. And it seems like still they're trying to weave all that shit into his personality. And here comes the fucking hippie part where he's getting his wheatgrass smoothie.
Because his tummy was grumbling.
Yeah, his chai latte. With extra foam and no fat, please.
Yeah, so he eats his fried veggie sandwich, and what do you know? What do you know? He follows her into a bar to get a drink.
Woo!
Woo!
Spring break!
So at this point, he figures it's safe to make his move, so he just sidles up next to her at the bar. She's not thrilled to see him.
Not at all. Because it turns out, didn't he fucking screw her out of, what was it, 25,000 credits or something?
Yeah.
That's a good reason not to be happy to see him.
Yeah. And the way she described the comical look of like exasperation on her face that this guy had followed her all the way from there, and she was going to have to deal with this dipshit even more.
The idiot.
Yeah. I call him a dipshit. You can call him an idiot. She can call him an idiot. I call him a dipshit.
I was going to say, that's what she calls him. I can go with dipshit.
That's what she said.
And see, that's the one time you can actually say that and I won't get mad. So, she's sitting at the bar fingering this piece of green shit, which that leads me to one of the coolest things about this novel so far, and a few of the old continuity novels, is I love seeing how the different Force users interact with the Force. Because it was the Coruscant Night trilogy.
Mm-hmm.
The main character in that, he saw the Force as threads coming off of people.
Mm.
And he could follow the threads coming off of them to, the different connections and people they've interacted with and shit like that.
That's cool. And some of them have unique connections to the Force or unique abilities. And Mace Windu, what was his? His was breaking point or shatter point.
Yeah.
where he knew exactly.
Which I'll be honest, before you explain it to me, because I do need it explained, I never fucking understood it. I read the one novel called Shatterpoint that explained how it worked. I still have no fucking grasp of how he interacted with the Force. It didn't make a shit lick of sense.
Yeah, I don't know exactly. The only thing I know about it is basically he had this ability to be able to sense or feel exactly where the flaw in something was that would make it break.
Is that what that was supposed to mean?
Yeah, I think so. It was like if it was a pane of glass, he could see the one tiny spot in the glass where if you hit it, it would shatter.
Oh,
or
okay.
if something was stressed and it was about to break, he could tell.
Yeah.
Where it would break at and what.
And it worked on humans and shit too.
Yeah.
He could easily fucking just feel them with the Force and be like, okay, if I fuck with him on this is what'll fucking either, help me or break him down, whatever.
Right. So
okay.
it was kind of interesting, but my point was like it is interesting that different Force users, not all of them, but some of them have kind of unique, like Anakin's was seeing the future, Force visions. Not everybody has those.
I'm trying to remember what novel it was. It might have been Outbound Flight, which is on our list of shit to read in the future.
Yeah, it's on my shelf.
I think it was a girl. I think like she was like real in tune with machinery where she could like touch. They had a problem with this one ship and she touched it and you kind of follow her as her mind becomes one with this computer and her Force. It's kind of like an astral projection of the Force.
Mm-hmm.
And she's traveling across through the wires and circuit boards and shit of this ship.
Oh, no, I saw that.
In the
I saw that. I saw that movie. It was called Tron.
Okay. Well, fuck Tron. That shit's boring.
Hey, take it easy.
Hey, what?
Take it easy. I like Tron.
No, that shit was boring.
That shit was cool. That shit was dope. That was 1981 dope.
Yeah, it was dope. I felt like a dope after I watched it. I was like, why did I just waste time on this? But anyway, the point is, she fixed this ship or whatever by astrally projecting herself through it. And it's not like Tron where she was wearing some lame-ass light-up suit. She was just traveling along the wires and she fixed the ship.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Yeah. And so that's what we didn't talk about last time either, was earlier in the book we find out what Quinlan Voss's special power is.
We didn't talk about that?
No, I don't think we did. We talked about him examining all of the artifacts from that black market dealer, but we didn't really, I don't think, mention why he was
What,
doing
are we
it.
retarded?
Apparently we're retarded. Apparently this is the worst book club ever, and I quit.
No shit. I almost... there's a joke right there, which it would take more explaining than the joke would be worth. So yes, we're retarded.
Yeah. So anyway, his special Force ability is he can touch an object and sense things about it, like where it's been or who else has touched it.
With it.
Right.
Yes.
And I want to say that was in the Clone Wars. I think he did that little trick in the Clone Wars when he was on it.
Once again, I meant to watch his episodes before we recorded, and I just didn't fucking do it because I had all kinds of other problems this week.
Once again, I meant to do it as well and didn't do it, and once again, this is the worst book club ever. The most disorganized.
Come on, they've listened to 9 episodes of the main show already.
Yeah, they know
if
what they're
they don't
getting.
fucking expect it, it's their own fault.
Yeah, they know what they're getting. Quality is not job one.
Talking out of our asses is.
Right.
He fucking touches it, and that's how he finds out shit through the Force.
Mm-hmm. So what he was doing with that black market guy when he was trying to bust up his illegal operations or whatever, he was gathering evidence against the guy by touching all of these artifacts that he would come in and he'd make the guy show it to him. Yeah, and he'd touch them and hold them for a minute, and he'd act like he was just admiring them or whatever. but he was actually just sensing where they originally came from and who they were stolen from and who stole them, and he was collecting all this evidence. He was building the case against this guy, and so that happened earlier in the book.
Chapter 1 or 2, I think.
Yeah, and so Asajj has piece of armor, and go ahead.
I was going to say, we actually get to see it in practice this time, and it's not just mentioned. We actually get to see, he touches the piece, and we see his visions, which, again, that is so fucking cool to me. I've always loved that about these Star Wars novels, is seeing how they interact with the Force.
So she's got this piece of armor, like a shoulder plate or a little piece of something that she pulled off of him when they were fighting. He asked her to let him see it, just kind of nonchalant, like acting like, well, just let me take a look at it, knowing full well that he's going to be able to figure out where this guy is now just by touching this piece of armor. So he does, and he has that vision that you were just talking about, so he could see basically this guy somewhere in the city in an apartment with a baby and some Rhodian.
Very distinct graffiti outside.
Yeah, so he sees exactly where this guy is. So he hands the piece back to Asajj and basically just says, you should really consider working with me because I know where this guy is. When she asks how he knows, he can't tell her the truth, so he just says that he got a tip.
And before he actually gropes the piece, while he's talking to her on his wrist, his communicator starts fucking lighting up and shit. And that leads us to another great interaction with Obi-Wan, which we got episodes of the Clone Wars where him and Obi-Wan interacted. Fuck it. I want another book written by Christie Golden exploring that relationship, the Voss-Obi-Wan relationship, because every time they talk in this book, it's like, ooh, what's gonna happen next? Ooh, I want more. And it fucking ends.
Yeah, they have a pretty good rapport, or pretty good dynamic in their relationship, it seems like, in their conversation.
And it was like that when they first met on Clone Wars, too.
Yeah.
And it's just like, God damn it, I want more. I want it now.
Willy Wanker.
You get nothing, sir! But yeah, I wanted to mention that before we get into this final scene of Chapter 6, because it is that Obi-Wan Voss dynamic and the interactions between them, it's just perfect for me.
Yeah, I agree. That seems like that the chase and the action stuff was fun, but this book seems to be best so far when it's the interaction between two characters, whether it's Voss and Obi-Wan, or if it's Obi-Wan and Voss and Asajj. So far, those seem to be the high points of the book, the strengths of the book.
After they leave the bar, and, he goes back in, they have the scene where he holds the piece of armor. After his interaction with Obi-Wan, he grabs the chunk of armor and finds out where the dude's at and tells her, come on, let's go. The last little scene there where they actually, go to the apartment, that I thought was pretty funny. Voss's dismay of having to act like a fucking normie. Like, she fires the bow to give him a line to crawl down, and he has to crawl.
Yeah, he has to climb down the building. Yeah, because he can't just jump off the building like a Jedi would. He has to actually do the work to climb down the side of this building.
And can't pretend like he's, Superman.
Right. So he has to kind of like fake
Clark Kent.
Fake struggle down the side of this building.
Mm-hmm. Like I said, reading about his dismay of having to act like a normie, that was fucking hilarious to me.
That was pretty good. This is a nice touch.
I'm pretty sure we fucking talked her up last time, but goddamn, let's do it again. I've never read anything by Christie Golden, but this book so far, 6 chapters in, what is it, like 56 pages?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 56 pages. It really makes me want to fucking find more of her shit and just read it.
Yeah, you're right.
She's got talent.
Yeah, you're right. She did write a bunch of like World of Warcraft novels and some other stuff like that, but I figured out why I was confused and thought I knew some other books that she had written. And that's because those Battlestar Galactica novels that are written by Richard Hatch. It's one of the books that I'm partially through and stopped to read something else. Those are co-written by Christopher Golden.
Ah, yeah.
Yeah.
Which
so,
he's not a bad writer either.
Right. He's done a lot of stuff too, but that's why that's why I thought I recognized her as having written some other stuff.
Well, I mean, it's what, 2 letters difference?
Right, and a penis. Presumably.
Never can tell. I've read some of his shit, and when we were talking about it last time, I didn't even fucking think of Christopher. Which, now that you talk about it, I wonder if they're related.
Could be. Kind of seems, well, I guess I shouldn't say that, because she did write all those Warcraft books, which wouldn't have been recent necessarily. I was going to say, I think a lot of, these books that I'm talking about were written 10, 15 years ago. So, well, no, actually more like, almost 20 years ago now. So,
well, see, she started, I'm reading in her author description here in the back. Mm-hmm. It says her media tie-in works include launching the Ravenloft line in 1991. That was 25 years ago.
Oh shit. Okay.
So
maybe they're twins. Maybe they're brother and sister.
Yeah. I was going to say, even so, I mean, it's not unheard of to have a sibling that's, 10 years older or younger.
Yeah. Yeah, I was just thinking twins because their names would have been so similar.
Yeah.
It could be spouse too, I guess.
Yeah.
It would be kind of weird to marry somebody with a name that's almost exactly the same as yours, but...
Right?
I mean, maybe not.
I don't know. I don't think I'd want to name... I'd want to name. I don't think I'd want to be, fucking somebody with a name similar to mine.
Yeah. I don't know. If she let me put it in, I don't care what her name is, but...
Yeah. But yeah, it does. This... Just the first 56 pages of this, 6 chapters, it really makes me want to hunt down and read more of her shit. Which, like I said, I think I have 1 or 2 of her other Star Wars novels. I'm pretty sure I've got 1 of them. And yeah, I really fucking love to read it now. Yeah, because this is her 4th Star Wars novel.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
The other 3 were set way after Episode 6 and the Fate of the Jedi.
Oh, yeah.
In that series.
Yeah. That's all been scrubbed.
Yeah, I know. Which, that's a topic for, the main show, which that's still sort of annoys me. But anyway, is there anything else you want to say about these 2 chapters, her, this book, anything at all?
Well, I liked how it ended, how this chapter ended, where they did the thing where he had to climb down the side of the building to get to the street level, and they do find the guy's apartment building that he saw in his vision, and they go to the door. And he acts like he's going to be the take charge one, and he goes right up to the door and starts banging on the door and ordering him to open up. And nobody will open the door. But he can sense that there are people behind the door. So he knows there's people in there, but nobody won't open the door. So after he tries a couple times, after a couple tries of banging on the door and being a hard ass, he has to resign himself to the fact that he can't open this door and has to ask her to tells her, open it.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where it ends, right?
Yeah. I should point out, I read these last 2 pages when I was half asleep this morning, so...
Oh.
That's probably why I didn't remember it.
Yeah. No, I thought that was pretty funny, though, that he had to, begrudgingly... And he didn't even ask her. He was like, all right, open it. Because he knows that she can just force it open. Literally force it.
And she uses her bow and fires in a blast or whatever the fuck it is, right into the control panel on the door.
Yep. And the doors slide open, and that's the end of the chapter.
That's it.
Yep.
Yeah.
So we'll be moving ahead and reading the next few chapters, and we'll cover those in the next episode. Which
will be, just so everybody knows, I mean, I know you're not retarded. We are, but they're not. But chapters 7 and 8 are what we're covering next week.
Yeah, so if you're reading along, it's going to be 7 and 8 in the next episode.
And those are 2 meaty chapters, too.
Oh, meaty. Yeah, so if anybody out there is listening and reading along, let us know.
Yes, please let us know, because that's fucking... It's always nice to know you're not talking in screaming at space.
Right. It'd be fun to have, a little interaction online.
Yeah.
Talking about the things that we've covered.
Or things we haven't.
Or things we haven't, yeah.
So yeah, I guess.
Like, hey, dipshits, didn't you talk about the fucking fact that he can sense objects 5 weeks ago?
Yeah.
Yeah. You mean like one of the biggest plot points of the book that happens in the second goddamn chapter? Yeah, we kind of didn't.
Which, again, we should be clear that we're banking episodes just so we can keep ahead and keep on the weekly schedule.
Mm-hmm.
So we might actually get to some of the things that you're screaming at us about. But even if we don't, tell us we're fucking stupid and we forgot.
Right. And you will have already screamed at us about that, so...
Yeah.
By the time you hear this, so...
But... Yeah,
Whatever.
you'll have screamed at us already, and we would have just talked about it, and now I'd be like, ha-ha, bitch, we already talked about it.
Yeah, my block button works.
Now let's get to our thank yous. First of all, always, thanks go to @TheJSarge for the intro that we use for both this and the main show. I mean, we're like, almost 20 times we've used it now? Still fucking works, man.
Yeah.
He's got a podcast, again, can't forget that. Jeff Knows Nothing, Jeff with one F, right? It's on SoundCloud, or, again, I think he's got a site for it, jeffknowsnothing.blogspot.com.
Mm-hmm.
And then, again, for our logo, thanks go to @SherrySays.
Yep.
It's fucking pretty cool.
Yeah. Right now you can get it on merchandise at redbubble.com.
Which there's all kinds of merch there.
Yeah, coffee mugs, t-shirts, stickers.
Well, I mean, not just that. We've got the main show logo, then we've got catchphrase merchandise. Anywho,
shirts and mugs and whatnot.
And let's see what else.
That was quote-unquote designed by me.
Yeah.
If you can call that designing.
So yeah, thanks to Sherry for that. And then thanks to the two ladies that are really ladies, who helped with the intro, @BatCat37 and @TESDGroupie.
Yeah, they did a great job.
That's the Nerd Blitz Book Club for this week.
Bookmark it.
This has been a feature of JJ2E Media and TSDJA Productions.